Hello guys and welcome back to the channel, and today I'll be discussing a Pokémon game called Isles of Eclipsia. Before we get into what this game is, I'm going to quickly talk through what Pokémon is and why this game in particular is important for you guys to know about. Well, Pokémon specifically refers to fan-created fictional creatures designed in the style of the Pokémon franchise. That's the definition from Google AI. And basically it's any game that involves similar basic principles that happens within Pokemon, for example involving battle mechanics of a turn-based system, features such as being able to trade. In addition to that, a storyline, which is like the fundamentals for any Pokemon game as it's within the adventure genre. In addition to that, there is so much more, such as like typings that will be relatively similar. So I specifically asked the leader of the development team a couple of questions, and I will go through them with you guys because a lot of these questions will likely be questions that you guys may have. So I asked, will we get a roadmap? That's the number one, and I was answered with, one was made but quickly grew outdated as we went on hiatus. Number two, will there be developer streams? No plans for one as of right now, obviously, because they're not released. Three, will there be rare models, for example, gradient or different variations of textures? Yes, we have Radiance and Asterix. Radiance change colours and Asterix change the model. Will trading be implemented and what's the plan for it? Standard trading like Pokemon, you'll also have a separate option to trade items. Number five, will there be anything that involves pay to win? Now, loads of people hate pay to win, that's why I asked that question. No, you can pay to make farming for stuff easier, but that's it. Right, I'm bringing up Lucky's tweet here because it's really important to do with like the theme of Pokemon games, and he says Elion Adventures is not ran by the same team anymore. The previous owners or team lost all rights and access to it via some shady deals, and a big corporate studio owns it now and is replacing a ton of previous devs' work. I've spoken to some of the team. The situation is sad, honestly. I was never a fan of Elion's due to some personal beef between myself and devs. However, I've put all that aside to speak up and inform you guys on what I can. Many devs are under NDA, and there's a lot of legal stuff I probably can't even say, but all I will say, I'm following them. Oh my goodness, that is crazy. What it highlights is that a lot of devs on the Pokemon genre will struggle to bring out a game because of things like this happening. Now you might be thinking, why have I brought up Lucky's tweet to this sort of discussion? Well, the fact is that a lot of Pokemon style games don't end up actually releasing, and the reason why is because Elion Adventures has been through, but other reasons are through, like, you know, developer teams going their own ways. You know, it's really hard to keep a developer team all together at once, all on the same page, and I know that because I've been through it myself. A lot of developers are really hard to find as well, so scripters in particular are really hard to find. So if you wanted a scripter, you literally can't find them. It's actually really hard unless you decide to join a bunch of discords, which I've been doing, and yeah, it's really difficult to get a full team together. I'm just saying that factually. And I do want to say this, the amount of investment it takes for a game to be put together as well will be substantial. So in order to get a successful game, you need to put a ton of investment in it, unless like you've got your team already and you've already got your passion game, fine, you know. Now the relevance of that and any other Pokemon game is that there is unfortunately a chance that, you know, they won't end up releasing. Not saying Isles of Eclipsia will be one of them, but unfortunately due to the low percentage of them getting released, some of them just eventually don't ever release, and sadly that's a fact. However, that being said, the lead dev was really nice and gave me a bunch of answers to the questions that I provided, and I guess that's one step in the right direction, having active developers basically answering a bunch of questions and providing a bunch of information for you guys to know is one of the key things. Furthermore, having the option to ask questions means that there's transparency for you guys there. And also it means that you guys will be able to be heard. So anyway, I'm going to go through all of the stuff that I asked. So I asked, will there be a pity system? Elaborate on what, and I did elaborate here. The LL pity system increases alpha or gamma rates. It's basically after a certain amount of encounters you are guaranteed to get a rare. However, Tutor World tends to use things like chaining. And what was answered here, a pity system of the sort will exist for chain encounters and chain fishing, however not for just pure raw encounters. You'll need to be willingly hunting for our radiance and asterisks to trigger these pity odds. However, it doesn't guarantee anything as much as just drastically increases your odds. Essentially how it works in Pokemon Horde encounters and chain fishing. So that's that. And then I asked, will there be a mini-map inside the game? Yes, that's good. And then the main thing people will ask is, when will the game get released? And no ETA, ATM unfortunately. So there you go, that's basically reinforcing the point that I said before, but obviously it takes time for things to happen, so I guess that's understandable. 4, are there game passes? Yes, but they won't be mandatory. So you know, in Lumin Legacy they are pretty much mandatory if you want to get really good chances in order to get an alpha, or really good chances in order to get a corrupt, you know. It's fundamental for like hunting. So yeah, he says that, and all game pass items will be obtainable via the game premium currency, which players will be able to gain through events and some daily logins. The premium currency will also be purchasable with ROBLOX and be easier to attain if someone has a premium. However, all the items will be simply QOL rather than mandatory. And then I said, will there be a main focus on storyline as opposed to events? Because, you know, the main problem with Lumin Legacy was that they had been focusing more on the event sides as opposed to the actual game itself. And that, again, was a massive problem for them and their analytics at the moment. So they've said, absolutely, there are a total of 5 islands in this game, so again that's a positive, knowing that the storyline will be a priority, which each island having as much content as your standard Pokemon game. There will be factions the player can align with, relationship points with other characters that influence how they interact with you. Most of the development from my end goes into story, and I plan to make it as immersive as possible with an incredibly rich story. I'm now going to quickly go through the plot of the whole game, but basically the first island mainly follows a Warring States China period theme with some variations and some of our own implementation. The island is called Bing Theng Adeo. I don't have the accents here at the moment. Let's chill, because you can't work out accents through text, can you? But it essentially translates to Isle of Frozen Winds, a name given to the island after it was plunged into a curse by a mythical dragon, suffering from eternal winter. The island features a massive volcano at the centre, which is used for central heating of the island, and as a result, the island is segregated into 3 sections, where they are separated by either status or how rich they are. The middle ring is where all the middle class live, where it's a balance between the volcano's heat and the island's curse to provide the ideal environment for people to prosper. The story focuses on 3 orphans, a non-binary child, youth for the purpose so that the player can impose their own identity into the character, a male and a female. They suffer a great tragedy, which I won't go too depth into, at the start of the game, which forces them to leave the confines of their orphanage and try to find a way to survive in the island untethered by any restraint. And I did also say earlier on, but since there are Japanese buildings in dark environments as highlighted by their leaks, I would assume it would be more focused on the scary side of things. And what was responded with was that yes, the story is going to be fairly mature and talk about a lot of mature topics such as politics, the island, not real life politics, made up religions and segregation. So hopefully that helps everyone there. That being said, I wish Isles of Eclipsia well, because I do like a lot of the stuff that's coming out of their development team. But also I would like to say that there is a main thing that I do want to cover, and that is the creator program. And what's been said in regards to that is once we launch one of the testing phases, I'll make a ticket application system for creators to be accepted into testing. They can then get the creator role and are allowed to make official content representing IOE. The conditions and requirements are currently not set, but when they are, my mod team will assess everyone individually and see if they are good fit. That's really good that they are planning on doing a content creator program. But yeah, hopefully that helps anyone that was interested in that type of thing. That being said, I hope this video was informative. I'm going to highlight a bunch of leaks on screen now so you guys can see what you think about this game. But yeah, that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Hope this was helpful, as I said, and yeah, peace.